Hello guys, and as it looks from all the frontline updates, Russia cannot stop Ukrainian army in the Kursk region of Russian Federation. New directions demonstrate advances of the Ukrainian soldiers, and most importantly, we constantly destroy Russian military vehicles. For example, a very expensive modern amphibious infantry vehicle that was burned with the help of artillery and drones. Moreover, understanding that this situation is for quite a long period of time and caring for the lives and well-being of civilians, Ukrainian government invited Red Cross and UN observers to Kursk region, which is actually correct according to the international rules of war. Such exist, but Russia denied this offer, saying it is a provocation. They don't want to protect their own people, applying this scorched earth policy and destroying everything that they cannot control. And that is why it is so important for us to defeat Russia. And right now we are demonstrating to our partners it is possible and it is going to happen. So let's have a look at the continuation of our special military operation in Kursk region from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Russia defeated, subscribe. We will discuss that on the channel sometime soon. And definitely there are symptoms that the collapse of the Kremlin is coming. All because of the advances of Ukrainian army in Kursk and many other important achievements that we demonstrate with our drones, with our resilience, and with the support of those people around the world who understand how important it is to punish bullies. Russia is a classical bully that tried to persuade the world they are invincible when in reality they cannot stop actually not that many Ukrainian soldiers on the sovereign territory of the Russian Federation. According to the observations of various intelligence services, Russia has already brought more than 40,000 professional soldiers to Kursk, taking them away from the front lines in Ukraine, exactly as we expected. But even with this backup, they cannot fight against the Ukrainian creative and quite innovative strategy. And most importantly, because they were pretending they are that trained, they are that smart, they are just violent. But violence is not the instrument, to build strong countries and strong people. And right now, I loved, and I will quote Jake Bro, how in one of his recent videos, he described what is happening in Kursk region by saying it's Ukrainian counteroffensive on Russian counteroffensive on Ukrainian counteroffensive, because indeed, our operation to Kursk is the result of Russian invasion of Ukraine. In general, my country is very peaceful, never wanted anything from neighbors, just let us live and build our own democratic society. But as a result of this invasion, we need to protect our territories. We want to create a buffer zone on the Russian side and actually prevent constant shellings of Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Sumy, and many more Ukrainian regions that unfortunately border with Russia. And that's why we have started our counter-offensive that also includes part of the Russian territory. Now, Russians wanted to make this counter-offensive, but it failed, and now it is our turn, and it seems like Ukrainian troops are moving actually in 3 directions. I have even put down the names of these Russian regions, and this is Glushkovsky, Korenyevo, and Snahist, and we are wishing them good luck. Most importantly, they continuously demilitarize Russia on the area, which is good for the future well-being of the planet. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and all peace-loving people. And to be able to enjoy peace, we need to defeat evil fast, because any kind of hybrid peace, when you negotiate with mass murderers, they only lead to more victims in a couple of years. We don't want that in Ukraine, and we hope you can hear and see us clear. Because personally, any hybrid peace is actually a euphemism to substitute hybrid war. And that's why demilitarization of Russia is vital after they have committed so many war crimes against humanity. And we do that with the tools that we possess right now. For example, this super expensive Russian amphibious infantry fighter vehicle. I hope I've translated that properly. Was destroyed, was actually first damaged by the artillery shellings, and then a brief and precise attack of Ukrainian drones that totally destroyed it. You know that during this Kursk operation we have already set a number of records, perhaps in this like economic military dimension, because we've destroyed a number of Russian combat helicopters with inexpensive drones. That's insane when a couple of $100 drone destroys a helicopter that is worth a couple of $1 million. This is another proof that to win the war, your motivation, determination, and perhaps the truth that is in your heart and in your mind is so important, because the majority of Russian soldiers are actually serfs of Putin, people filled with hatred, people filled with greed. And what is their motivation? To come, rape, loot? It's purely criminal, nothing behind that. So the more of Russian ammunition, the more of Russian warehouses, the more of Russian airfields we destroy, the safer this world will be, and the easier it will be to work with Russian population during the next decades, turning them into citizens. They did not have this experience, and it is actually the task of the democratic societies to introduce them step by step to what life should look like, where you respect diversity, human life, where you allow people to be individuals and not a dark, gray, pessimistic, filled with hatred mass. So when, and I hope this will happen sometime soon, our partners allow us to strike Russia back, because of another delay, you know, it's very typical in relations with Ukraine. Russians have already moved the majority of their evil bombers with which they destroy Ukrainian lives further from those locations where we could reach them with long-range missiles. And I don't know who's working for Russia actually. You know, sometimes in Ukraine we have this very sarcastic jokes that some of our partners have closed the wrong sky, not the Ukrainian, but the Russian. But anyway, using long-range missiles, and if we have this permission even too late, we will be able to destroy command posts, warehouses where they keep all of their evil ammunition, and for example, this kind of infantry amphibious vehicles, which are also used to destroy good things in Ukraine. So it's always better to destroy bad things in Russia. Subscribe to count together how many of these evil objects we will destroy in the months to come. And another very vivid symptom of how everything is wrong inside Russia, inside the Russian Federation, because once again, Russia is not all of the Russian Federation that consists of 22 People's Republic. So anyway, Ukrainian government, Ukrainian military caring about the people of Kursk region that actually cooperate with Ukrainian armed forces perfectly, and even started showing Ukrainian soldiers the locations of Russian and Chechen soldiers because of the way they treat Russian population, because they bomb, shell, destroy everything, not caring about the well-being and survival of their own countrymen, which once again proves that Putin has to be imprisoned, because he's bad not just for Ukraine, he's even bad for those poor serfs of his. So caring for these civilians, observing the rules of war. Unfortunately, there are such rules, and if there is no way to avoid the war, of course it's important to follow them. Russia breaks all of these rules, and Ukrainian soldiers They do not even cause fear in Russian population. There are interviews taken not by Ukrainians but foreign journalists in Kursk, where you can clearly see that Kursk population is not against Ukrainian soldiers. That's a great surprise. They cooperate, they talk, they are not tortured, they don't need to hide, they are not butchered as it was in many Ukrainian cities and villages that had even a brief experience of Russian occupation. So following all of these rules, respecting international agreements, Ukraine addressed the Red Cross and the United Nations that they can send their missions and their observers to Kursk to control everything, I don't know, to help with logistics. There are lots of functions they can do to make life of people on this temporarily controlled territories the best of possible. And it is like Ukraine doing that after all of this evil that Russia brought to our territories. And the Russians say, no, we don't want Red Cross, we don't want United Nations on these territories. Or that's a provocation. That's not a provocation. That is actually good for your own people. But no, it will be very difficult for them, first of all, to hide how they are losing, to hide their failures. And second, Russians bomb themselves. They do it in Suja, they do it everywhere. The only kind of war that they can fight, that they are good at, it's not a creative war, if it's possible to say, because even in war you may use your intellect, tactics, and in Russia they know meat grinders and they know scorched earth policies. That's it, nothing more. And that's why they don't want these observers, which once again proves, guys, no negotiations, no appeasement. Putin, Russian army, they have to be defeated, even if you are kind, especially if you are kind and you care about the Russian population. That is the way to save them too. And Ukrainian soldiers are caring about the Russian population better than the Russian army itself. So if we continue creating larger buffer zones somewhere in Belgorod, don't worry, we will do it good. We'll see what happens, and if you want to know more what is happening in Ukraine and now in Russia as the war is back to its home where it belongs, subscribe and please share the videos that you find important on those social media platforms that you are present on. And remember to join me too. I'm also on Instagram, X, Threads, and Discord, and all the links that you need are in the description of this video. Also check our merch shop. There are lots of good sweatshirts, hoodies, caps that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, because they have lots of beautiful designs telling cultural heritage of Ukraine and our military history and military reality. So do check, the link is in that description too. Thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, helping me film, develop more projects. Soon I will introduce you to some really good ideas and of course writing more. I'm blessed and I'm very grateful to have you. You are super friends, and all the people who stand for Ukraine and who realize there is no way to close eyes on Russian crimes. Russia must be defeated. That's the only way to save the world. Thank you once again. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!